Tipping with On the Outer coming into round 12. Thank you, everyone, for joining us once again on this beautiful Thursday evening. Lucky it's not as cold as that horrible Tuesday earlier in the week. That was shit house. Lemons, how are you?
I'm very well. Thank you for having me back on the Tips Show, Tom.
It's a pleasure. And Gus is away again this week. Now, we discussed his issues on the main body of the show regarding a certain utility that isn't working at his house. So, look, we hope to have him back on board soon. I'm, of course, calling in from the UK where I am now and will be for the next 5 weeks.
How was the flight, Tom? Quite good?
It was really good, yeah. Very relaxing. Very relaxing indeed. All right, now how we're looking going into round 12, which is the first week of the buys. So just 6 games this week, but what's the leaderboard looking like?
Well, the leaderboard has not changed at all because all of us tipped 7.
Okay.
So good week all round by everyone at Outer. So that puts, for everyone playing at home, you still out in front on 68 tips for the year, and Gus and I nipping away behind you, 62 each for the year. So I think all three of us won. We had a bit of a debate about did all three of us lose or did all three of us win? Is that a hat? But I think all three of us won, so no silly hats for anyone this week. We can all have our heads unadorned while we make the rest of it.
Wow. So for the first time since round 1, there's no silly hats on the show. Well, hopefully, if people, the only reason you tune in is for the silly hat, I do encourage you to continue watching just to see what the rest of the show is like. Yeah, fantastic round of footy this weekend. Despite only 6 games, there is 4 crackers. And we'll start with Friday night, Western Bulldogs versus Geelong. This one's at Marvel Stadium. Very, very interesting game. Bulldogs seem to have got their mojo back a little bit. Couple of good wins in a row. Midfield's looking sharp again. There is still an issue up forward with the way that their avenues to goal, I suppose. Still very reliant on Aaron Naughty Boy Norton. Sam De Koning has been playing some good footy at fullback for Geelong, so I think he will trouble him. But I think I'm probably leaning towards the Dogs in this regardless, just because I don't know. That's just a feeling that I think they've got Geelong covered through the midfield, and I think that will probably be enough. Very much a toss of the coin, though. Who are you going with?
I agree. This is such a great game. This is going to be a great way to start the round. I think I'm going to go with Geelong. And my main reason is that it is a coin flip. So like 50-50, there's no...
So you flipped a coin?
Yeah, no, I just like, I'm going with my hometown team. Like, as much as I'm an Essendon supporter and I love the Bombers, it is nice to have a second team that I can sort of attach myself to who are doing quite well. So I find myself sort of rooting for the Cats as they continue to be one of the best teams in the competition, of the last decade and a half, 2 decades. How long has it been since? A really long time.
Yeah, it's a long time. Yeah.
So I'll go with Geelong. Gussie, who has sent his tips in to me, has gone with the Dogs. So there we go. All right. Next game of the round is the Battle of the Birds, Crows versus Eagles. This one is at Adelaide Oval on Saturday Arvo. Look, to be honest, there's not really a lot to say here. We've got the 15th place team versus the 18th place team. The only thing is the 18th place team would be even lower if there were any lower they could go, I would say. So sorry to all you Eagles fans, but your team is really a shocker this year. And I think Adelaide are going to cover this game pretty easily for one of their few wins of the season. So yeah, Crows for me.
I'm tempted to go the upset here just because I think this is probably one of the only teams that West Coast could beat would be Adelaide. But the fact that it's in Adelaide and Jeremy McGovern subbed out last week, I'm not sure how likely he is to come up for this one. And they're pretty reliant on him in the back line. So, yeah, I'm going to go with Adelaide as well. But I think if you were a West Coast Eagles supporter or player, you'd be eyeing this one off as a potential victory.
Yes. Well, not according to the On the Outer team, though, because Gus has also gone. So that is a clean sweep for Adelaide Crows.
All right, North Melbourne versus the Suns. This one is in Darwin. So Gold Coast stay up there, play 2 games in a row, which is good. They absolutely dominated against Hawthorn last week for most of the game. Kicked 140 odd points. Really good score. Really, really, impressive the way that they controlled that ground. And I think they do see this as a little bit of a home away from home. So North Melbourne, I can't imagine that they've played up there too much. I think that Gold Coast should win this pretty comfortably. And in fact, it's an important game for them because they've won a few in a row now. They're looking good. They really just need to get the job done here. No slip-ups. The Gold Coast of old might have slipped up here and lost a game to the 18th place side or 7th, whatever they are. But I think that, I think that the Suns really just need to make this, just get it done, do it professionally, come away with a win, and they're on their way.
Yeah, I was really impressed with the Suns against Hawthorn. I thought that game, I tipped the Hawks to win. I thought it was going to be close at least, and they just absolutely pummeled them. So it's hard to really think that the Kangaroos are going to challenge them, especially when they've had the extra week up at the ground. Like, they're sort of acclimated. I think the Suns are going to win pretty comfortably there. Now, Gussie has also gone with the Gold Coast Suns. So that's all 3 of us for the Suns for that game.
All right, Melbourne versus Sydney. This is an absolute ripper at the MCG. Sydney definitely capable of beating Melbourne on their day. Some personnel questions about this. Stephen May will not play because he was concussed in the game against Freo. Ed Langdon should come up. Petrarca was ill. He should be fine. Buddy suspended. Now, Sydney challenging that. We're not really sure whether he'll get off. I would be surprised if he got off. It did seem as though he pretty much just clocked Cochin in the jaw. He didn't make full contact, and Cochin wore it, but you can't be doing that. You can't be clocking people in the face. So I reckon he's gone. Will Melbourne bounce back, or are they having a little down spot? And can Sydney take advantage of that? There's some really, really interesting matchups in this game as well. I'm going to go with the D's because I'm a coward, but very, very tempted. I just think sometimes, teams have these little wake-up calls and they go, oh, yeah, no, we're actually good. So the D's should probably come out and have a bit of a bounce-back effect.
Yeah, it is. It would be a huge story if the D's lose 2 in a row after how they started the first 10 games of the season. But I don't see it happening. I think Swans, especially without Buddy, they're just not going to have enough to beat the D's, who are, looking to make amends for the second half of the way they played against Freo this week. So yeah, I think the D's, they haven't lost enough for me to still not think they're invincible. You know what I mean? I still feel like that was a little hiccup. They had a bad half of football. That happens. They played one bad half of football in half the season. Maybe I'll bet on them to still be the best team in the competition. Gussie, on the other hand, no, he's also gone with the D's. So that's all 3 of us for the Demons.
There we go.
Right, another exciting game. Not a top of the table clash, but a very important game when it comes to sort of who's making the 8, which is very important for both of these sides, is Hawthorn versus Collingwood. So that game is at is it at the G? Yes, it's at the MCG on Sunday Arvo. Both teams, Collingwood in particularly great form, beating Carlton last week and just looking really, really good, whereas Hawthorn, as I mentioned, sort of having that a bit of a stinker against Gold Coast, although that was, like you said, in Darwin, so kind of can be written off as a bit of an anomaly there. This game, kind of important for both teams who would love to be sniffing at finals contention, both of them just sort of sitting outside the 8, and this game, I kind of feel like whoever loses is out. You know what I mean? I feel like it's at this time of the year where it's, if you don't win, you're in a bit of trouble. I'm going to go with Collingwood. I think I was really impressed by the way they played against Carlton last week and sort of holding on a little bit at the end. Carlton were definitely coming, but I think just showing a little bit of composure and ability to control the game when it mattered. So I think they should have enough to get it done this weekend.
This is a really cracking game. two teams that have surprised this season and been a lot better than expected. Will, one of them be able to accentuate that further and potentially challenge for the finals? As you said, this is pretty much going to decide who stays in the mix. I think I'm really, really struggling with this one. I think I'm going to lean towards the Hawks, but purely because I just don't think Collingwood are going to win 3 games in a row. They've beaten 2 top 4 sides essentially in the last 2 weeks in Freo and Carlton. So logically, they should be able to beat Hawthorn. But I think 3 in a row is a lot for them. And I also think that Hawthorn, whilst they don't have a huge amount of firepower up forward, I think that with the options they have with Bruce, Moore, and Lewis, that's enough to kind of trouble Collingwood's key defensive stocks. They don't have huge amount of really, really solid lockdown guys down there. They've got Howe and Moore, who are really good, intercept players. So, yeah, just basically trying to find a reason here to back up my hunch, but I'm going to go with Hawthorn.
That's good. Gussie has gone with the Pies. So that'll be an exciting game of footy. I'm looking forward to it.
A really, really great game to finish off the round as well. Fremantle versus Brisbane. This is, I guess, Brisbane, the nominal second team in the competition this year, and Freo probably the main contender to that title at the moment. This game is in Optus Stadium, which I think gives Freo the edge. Will they have a drop-off after the excitement of last week? Potentially. Brisbane, still a very good side on the road. It's a long, long way to travel, and I think that's basically what tips the scales in Freo's favour to me. So I think Freo might get this, and that'll mean they've knocked off Brisbane and Melbourne in consecutive weeks after losing to 2 bottom 10 sides the previous 2 weeks. Strange old team.
Yeah, what a change a week can make, really, for this Freo team. We were talking about, they're done, but then, one good half, and they're back. I agree with you. After seeing what they did to Melbourne, it's like, well, they should handle the Lions pretty comfortably then if they could just keep doing that. So I'm going to go with Freo. Obviously, I'm being a bit facetious. I think the Brisbane Lions are still probably a better team, but home ground advantage, I think, is a big difference, and there'll be just some belief around the club, I would imagine, that they are legitimate. They can beat anyone. They beat Melbourne. They should be able to beat Brisbane. So exciting. Looking forward to the game. Gussie has gone with the Brisbane Lions. So there we go. A little bit of a split amongst the team here on the outer for that one.
All right. Well, thank you again for joining us, Lemons. This has been on the outer tips for round 12. If you're interested in following along with our tips, you will be able to catch the updated totals at the end of this video, and you can mark the cards along as the round progresses. We'll be back next week for a review of round 12 and to look at some of the big news of the week. So tune in for that. And next Thursday, every Thursday, tipping on YouTube. So make sure that you hit that subscribe button and don't miss a single second of it. Lemons, thanks again for joining us, and we'll see you soon. Ciao.
Ciao.